And I am here to welcome you to today's program with creating disc fajitas. And our program today is taught by Larry Brence. And he was an extension agent at one point, but he is now the regional department head for the eastern region of Montana. So he's joining us from even further away than the last few presenters this week. And so with that, Larry, go ahead and take it away.
All right, thanks, Caitlin. Well, welcome to Miles City here in eastern Montana in the Yellowstone Valley. Today we're going to do some disc cooking. And so if anybody wondered what a disc was, as you can see right in front of me is just a big disc. It looks sort of like a wok that you might cook on, but is actually made from a piece of farm equipment. Anybody that's got an old disc sitting out back, you can go out, you can pull a disc off of it, weld up the covers on the holes on the inside where the hubs go and things like that, and then you can cook on top of it. And it's a little bit like cast iron cooking. It's something that you need to cure and take care of, but it's just like cooking like that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make some disc fajitas, and actually this is kind of one of my family's favorite. But anything that you can stir fry or anything like that is sort of fair game on the disc. And so what we're going to start with, is it takes a little bit to get through it, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my vegetables. And so you can see here, I cut up some peppers and some onions this morning, and we're going to go ahead and put them on the disc. And I hope it's good and hot. So we're going to get those started cooking. And one of the things with disc cooking is it's a great outdoor activity, but the wind is kind of your enemy. So if you're watching the video, you probably figured out I'm standing right in the door of my garage as I do this. Part of that was I was setting a little further out earlier on, and it was a little bit windy this morning, so I moved back under here so that we're not fighting the wind so bad. But today I'm making disc fajitas, and this would be enough for my family. You know, family of 5. There's my wife and I and our 3 daughters. So I've cut up 3 peppers and 1 onion, and then I've got about a pound of elk that we'll cook later. And all I do in terms of seasoning is I just put on some garlic, salt, and some pepper, and then we try to cook. You turn up the heat a little bit there. Cook until the peppers are tender, until the onions get a little bit transparent. And I use a lot of olive oil in this process. I like olive oil that doesn't seem to smoke as bad as vegetable oil. Where I sort of learned to do this, their oil of choice a lot of times was bacon grease, which has its own set of merits as well. Probably not quite as healthy as some other things, but that seems to work well too. But just kind of keep stirring the onions and peppers around a little bit. Like so, you got to get those cooked down. And as usual with a lot of outdoor cooking things, it's sometimes hard to predict how long the cooking will take. And so, thinking about today, are we going to be done in 15 minutes, or are we going to be done in a half hour? Who knows? But we're going to get all the way through this. So, kind of where I discovered this is once upon a time in a former life, I was a graduate student at New Mexico State University, and one of the things that happened when I showed up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, is I got there just before the 4th of July, and so I got to know some people a little bit, and they invited me out to a 4th of July barbecue at their place. And so we're in the middle of this pecan orchard, and all these people were around, and there was all of this great smelling food, and I looked over, and there were about 6 of these discs lined up. And so they were cooking all kinds of wild game and vegetables, peppers, green chilies, onions, and I don't know what all else. But to my mind, that was some of the best food I'd ever eaten. I mean, it was just hard to describe how good that tasted. And so when I moved back to Montana, I sort of lost sight of that. And then a few years ago, I was kind of looking around on the internet, and I found some of these discs that were for sale. And so I went ahead and ordered one, got the disc. The cooker came with it. Looks a little bit like a flying saucer or something, but it's a little bit like a turkey cooker, but it has some little fingers to hold the disc up off of the flame. And so I got that, and like I say, one of the favorite things we do at our house is make fajitas. Actually, I think that might be our favorite meal. Other things I've made on here is you can make scrambled eggs and sort of do a breakfast mix. I've also made pad thai on here as well, so kind of enjoyable. But again, it's kind of an outdoor thing. As you can see, there's lots of smoke, and doesn't work well. You kind of have to have nice weather to make it work. And so getting these cooked down, I am going to turn up the heat just a little bit more. They're not cooking quite as fast as I would like. You know, and if you go on the internet, I know there's a place called Discada where I got this, and they think it's Discada. Again, if you have some old farm equipment out there and you have a welder, you can probably build one of your own. I know one guy that got one, and I think he might have got it through one of the sporting goods stores in Billings, and I think what they called it was a cowboy wok. So, you know, sort of the same principle as a wok, but kind of the same thing. All right. All right. Well, I think those are cooked up well. And so what I do is, you could do this a couple of ways. One is you could take all these vegetables off and then set them aside and cook your meat and move on. What I like to do is, since the disc is big enough, is I kind of like to move everything off to the side if I can. And here's they use up a lot of my oil. And so I'll move those off to the side, and then I'm going to put some more olive oil on there. And our next step is going to be cooking our meat. And so today, what we're going to cook is I have about a pound of elk meat here that's been cut into strips. And if you excuse me for a minute, I'm just going to pour some of this water off before I put it on the grill. So I'm going to step to the side here for a second. All right, we got it good and smoky. We got it hot. And we're going to cook some elk. So again, just season it with pepper and garlic salt. A lot of people ask me about using marinade. Yeah, if you have marinade you like, go ahead and use it. For our taste around here, it seems like it's always been good enough just to use pepper and garlic salt. And the guys I learned from down in New Mexico, that's kind of how they did it too. So that seems to suit us. And boy, we are generating some smoke today. Let's try to get a good sear on that meat. I like to have it good and hot so you can kind of sear those juices in as it's cooking. You know, interesting thing too is I did one of these once upon a time, and I was using venison deer meat instead of using elk. And I was able to brag at that point in time that the extension director and I had been out hunting deer together, and I had actually gotten a bigger buck than he had, so I had a little bit of a brag. But with this elk, I have a little bit of a brag too, is that I wasn't actually successful hunting last year, but my daughter's boyfriend was, and lo and behold, he got a cow elk somewhere along the way, and this elk just happened to show up in my freezer. And the older I get, the more I'm appreciating that style of hunting. So,
and what about your latest announcement? Your elk tag.
Oh, Megan reminded me too that I am going to try and be an elk hunter this year. I've tried for years to get a southeastern Montana elk tag, and through the kindness of the Fish and Game, that notification of that showed up in the mail the other day. So maybe I can provide my own elk for this next year. So it looks like we're getting a good cook on those. I'm going to add just a little more oil to it. We do use up a lot of it cooking on this thing. So I think we're about, and that elk is cooked up up really nice there. I think we've about got it cooked. And so we cooked some vegetables, we cooked some elk, and so the next step in this is what makes really, really good fajitas. And I don't know if you can see this, the oil and salt and pepper and a little bit of residue from the meat and vegetables that lays around the edge of this. But I'm going to turn down the heat about as low as I can on my burner here. And then I'm going to make the next step, which is getting some of these tortillas. And just slapping those down along the edge of the disc. And I, brown those a little bit, and I'll turn them over once. That is probably one of my favorite parts of cooking with this particular outfit, is being able to brown those tortillas like that. Again, I'm not sure what the health implications of that is, but that's about one of the best things you'll ever eat right there, is that brown tortilla. Yeah, get a little brown on them there. And down close to that pot of grease there in the bottom that's cooking.
Jasmine Carbajal says, Larry, I love that you warm up your tortillas. I don't like cold tortillas, LOL. I agree.
Yeah, I love warm tortillas. This is the only way to do it. And so actually I'm going to kind of turn off the heat at this point. We're warming up another tortilla. And then I'm going to show you how we prepare a fajita. And then you guys can ask any questions. And at the end of that, I think Megan and Hannah and I are going to have some lunch. They seem to be fairly excited. So Hannah brought over the tortillas, and so we move back in here. We keep it pretty simple. I guess one of the other things that I like to do when I'm cooking the vegetables is I like to put some green chilies in with that as well. And I think that when I talked earlier about when I moved to New Mexico and how good those vegetables were, I think the key in that was always the green chilies. I think the green chilies really added something to that. So if you have some roasted green chilies, which unfortunately I'm out of right now.
So that tortilla just has some sour cream and some cheese.
Yeah, just added cheese. And again, do it the way you like it. And I just come out here and we'll throw a little bit of elk on there. And throw on some peppers. There you go, Hannah. And wrap it up in the tortilla. Nice thing here, no silverware, knife, fork, etc. required. And there used to be a restaurant that we went to in Baker when we lived there, and what it said on the motto on the menu was the best you ever sunk your choppers into. And I'm not sure if it gets much better than that. So so that's how you make disc fajitas. So I would be glad to entertain any questions that y'all might have out there.
Caitlin says, Larry, you have the best assistant. Well, Caitlin, you're right. We are the best assistants. Tara says, what else do you cook on the disc?
And so I've done pad thai. You can kind of do a breakfast mix with it. So, eggs and sausage and whatever else you'd want to cook there. And the nice thing with the disc is you can kind of do a variety of things, cook it up, move stuff to the side, and then cook something else on there if you want. Again, go to the internet. There's lots of recipes out there for things that you want to cook up. But anything sort of stir fry or anything that you would do in a wok, you can do on the disc. Any other questions?
Well, Larry, I think you've had the best questions that have come in. Oh, Jesse says, can you talk about the care and maintenance of the disc?
Excellent. Great question, Josie. And so the disc comes in and it's basically cast iron. So it's you take care of the disc a lot like you take care of, you know, a cast iron skillet or a Dutch oven or something like that. You know, don't ever use soap to clean it. You kind of let that, you know, the black material build up on it. And I would say the one I've got, I'm not even sure it's completely cured yet. But when I clean it, I'll just take it in and scrub it with water and wipe it off, and then put a real thin coating of vegetable oil on it when I put it away to kind of seal it all in. But yeah, just like taking care of a cast iron skillet, pretty much.
All right, while you think about some questions to ask, I'm going to open up our poll to give some feedback to our presenter. So I'm opening that up right now, and so go ahead and complete. And you can also ask questions during this time as well for Larry.
I'm going to eat my fajita.
That's so good.
All right, and I'm also going to stop the recording. So thank you for those who joined us so far today.